Welcome back to another episode of Reddit Recreations, your home for some chilled out vibes and a few Reddit stories. Today's story is coming from r/ProRevenge from the username fluffy_supermarket_6, and it is titled "Fired from my job, but received a year's worth of pay and got my boss fired." Let's get into it. This happened in the early 2010s, before the advancement of technology in video editing and content creation. I was hired as a content creator for a university that wanted to leverage YouTube to kickstart their branding campaign. The pay was low, roughly $2,200 USD, and in those days, there were not that many video content creators around, and the process usually took a long time from start to finish. I was hired, and on my second day, my manager presented my KPI of 85 3 to 10 minute videos in 52 weeks, which was impossible for a one-man team in those days. This meant I had to do the scripting, producing, casting talents, shooting videos, composing music — they were way too cheap to pay for royalty-free music subscription — and editing. All of which I had to use my own equipment and software because their cameras and computers were so old they simply couldn't handle the strain of even doing things in 720p, much less 1080p. So, let's do the maths here real quick. 85 3 to 10 minute videos in 52 weeks. So that comes out to roughly 16 minutes of content every single week. 60 minutes of content every week doesn't seem like too much. However, when you do everything — scripting, producing, casting talent, shooting videos, composing music as well, and editing, all of that — that is a lot. I tried to let my manager know, but she just smiled encouragingly, telling me to give it a try and assuring me if the videos were good, the quantity would not be what she focused on. Hearing this, I agreed to give it a try. Well, there's the concern already. I can see it a mile off. Already she's saying that. So firstly, that's just not going to be true, is it? If a manager says, "Don't worry that we've told you to do this much. If you do a little bit less and it's good, it's fine." No. They're going to use that against you. And secondly, in order to make quality content, you can't be rushed. You can't be making someone do so much work in such a short amount of time and say, "Well, if it's really good, don't worry about it." It's not going to be really good, because you're not giving me enough time to do it. So this person is already in a lose-lose situation. So, my manager treated me well in the first month. However, one day when she found out I was a smoker, her attitude changed overnight. A colleague had actually done a facepalm when I told her about it, and she let me know that the manager hated smokers and often advocated to get them fired. She started nitpicking me on everything, from smelling like cigarette smoke after my breaks, coming in 5 to 10 minutes late despite doing more than 4 hours of overtime daily, not being collectible during break times — the list goes on. But I soldiered on because I just wanted to do the work and do it well. Managers like this, man, how do they always get into positions of power? How do you always get these people who don't actually care about the work? They just have their own personal problems and they just take it out on everyone. Always read story after story after story on Reddit of these sort of managers, and they always end up there. They always end up in those positions, but I don't know how, because they're never results driven. They don't care about, how well the work's been done. All they care about is, do they personally like you or not? 4 hours of overtime daily, and it's still not appreciated. Ugh, that would drive me crazy. 5 months in, I was called into the director's office where I saw my manager putting on her best displeased but gleeful face, and I felt my stomach dropped. So you're going to get fired, and she's happy about it. The director told me that she was disappointed because she had heard that I was falling behind on my work, and it was already halfway through the year and I had only completed 30 out of my 85 videos. I tried to explain that I'd been working my butt off on these videos. I literally worked 6 days out of the week, over 60 hours just to do what needed to be done, and that being a one-man army made things impossible. And also, the fact that the videos I had put up grossed the highest views ever on their YouTube page. I also recounted how my manager said she was looking for quality videos over quantity. Did you get that in writing though? Did you get that in writing? Because this sort of manager, you need everything in writing, because she'll just say, "Nah mate, Nah. Fired, nah. The director dismissed this and stated that the KPI was simply 85 videos in a year, and since it was almost half a year in, with my numbers at less than half, she felt it prudent to cut the cord early. I asked how would they even meet the KPI if they were to fire me now, and my manager had snorted, saying, "We'll find a professional production house to finish your work." The director had given her an odd look, but nodded in her support nonetheless, telling me, "You don't need to worry, manager will get the job done." That was when a light bulb went off in my head. Seeing as I was the content professional in the office, one of my jobs was to keep a database of production houses to use in the event we needed to do a shoot that required more resources. And I was sure that they would be using the production houses in my database, as my manager had no contacts on the production industry. So I changed the contract numbers and messed up all the emails on the entries except one. I had a friend working as a junior director, not an assistant director, but a director assigned to smaller video projects. I gave him a call and told him of my plan, and sure enough, within 2 days, they were called to come in to pitch. Okay, so you fire the only man doing it and you don't get a replacement. You probably want to get the replacement before you fire the man in case it goes wrong. I told him I had a plan and it was a win-win for us. It would instantly help him and put him on the fast track to a director position by bringing in that much business to his production house, and it would also benefit me financially. I would teach him exactly how to pitch to win over the boss and the director in turn. His company would pay me a standard finder's fee of 15%. He agreed instantly and immediately put me on the line with his general manager, who upon realising this was to be 6 months of work for a high 6-digit payout, instantly agreed and drew up a contract. "Hey, I'd love to work for your company, I hate smokers." "Yeah." As it turns out, after I gave them a metaphorical step-by-step playbook, they were the perfect fit, somehow understanding the needs and style of the university, as well as the sort of themes the university wanted to feature. The director and my former boss were amazed that my friend's production house was so familiar with their content that they signed them up on the spot. Now, even back then, using a production house was not cheap. Each video that they produced could cost double to triple my monthly salary, given that they had specialised people for each function: producer, director of photography, gaffer, sound person, video editor, assistant director, production assistants, etc. Which was everything OP was doing on their own before. But this meant they could complete a video every 2 to 3 days. So yes, they produced 50 videos in a span of 4 months for over 100 months of my salary, and I sat back and collected the healthy 15%, which was about 15 months of my salary. Wow. This allowed me to put money aside for a holiday and the rest to further my studies with a respected film school overseas. I thought my plan ended here and I had gotten back at my former bosses, but to my surprise, I received a call from my colleague while I was on holiday in Bali one day. This was the same colleague who had face-palmed when I told her my manager had found out that I was a smoker. She told me that my former manager had been fired and my director given a massive blasting by the Chancellor of the university. The content creation project, which I was hired for, was only given a budget equating to about 1.5 years of my salary, and they had exceeded that budget by over 10 times. Whoa. My former manager was so desperate to ensure that her content creation project could be completed that she had thrown caution to the wind, paying anything to get the job done so that she could show my director that she had completed the project and had approved the massive spend without getting consent from the director. So that is how I got my friend a super fast promotion to a full director in his production house and 1 year of pay after getting unfairly fired from my job. Well, absolute stroke of genius by OP there, well done. Oh, that must have felt so good when as soon as the contracts were signed and the first paycheck comes in, you know, you sit back there with your cigar, with a little smile on your face on the beach in Bali, knowing you have won. And they won't find out you've won until you want them to know, because that money's just being siphoned off to you. Very well done to OP. So the manager comes in and says, don't worry about the 85 videos, just do as well as you can, and if it's good quality, it doesn't matter. And then finds out you're a smoker. No, you gotta go. I'm gonna hire someone for 10 times the salary and get fired. Because apparently smoking a cigarette means that you can't do your job correctly. I love to see these stories. Anyone who's worked with a bad manager knows that you just want them to get something like this, and when it does come through, it is so satisfying. So we got a top comment from Jen Hadar Slayer, who says, people who have never done video editing have no clue how laborious it is. I can't even imagine people that produce CGI. The disrespect that the creatives get from people who have never done those type of jobs is hard to believe. And yet, this is something that you see in lots of these sort of stories, where there's the big businesses, there's the corporations. Not only do you get the manager being a jerk and a complete moron and sabotaging everyone, including themselves, you also a lot of times see, why is it always jobs that people don't know about or don't understand? If it's ever a job like editing that you have to be an editor to understand it or create it, or say the IT guy always gets it. You don't understand anything about IT, so you just assume it's easy. But the problem is, once you're fired, normally, you get fired, and then they find out they made a mistake, and then they get fired, but it still doesn't help you, because you still got fired. So it's great to see that you've managed to get a big paycheck and a big break out of this. We've got another top comment saying, made in West Germany. I really don't get why managers don't understand how valuable someone is who does stuff like this. That's like saying, I work as a mechanic, but I produce the engines and wheels myself because my boss is too cheap to order them. And that's about him saying, composing music because they were too cheap to pay for royalty-free subscription. And then another comment from Lord Knight says, that's a real win-win situation. Well, not for your manager, but she earned exactly what she deserved. So I'm going to pass it over to you guys in the comments now. What would you do in this situation? You're doing great work. Manager says, doesn't matter, you're not hitting your targets because your quality is super, super good. But as soon as they find out that you do something they don't like, maybe you eat a tuna sandwich and they don't like tuna and they just turn completely against you. What would you do in this situation? Me personally, I think I would just immediately start looking for other jobs. On company time as well. So thank you again for watching, everybody. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I do upload new Reddit videos every single day, and I will see you again next time. Especially before they had any decent editing softwares. I mean, for me, if I had a better editing software, my videos would probably be done in half the time. Because I'm using, I use OpenShot, and it's really good, but my laptop is not, and it freezes every now and then. I say every now and then as an understatement. While I'm editing, it freezes more often than not. I think that's just non-interesting waffle. Were you waiting to blow your nose until I stop? Oh, thank you. Are you done? Hello. Hello. You need to blow your nose again.
I was just breathing.
No, well, don't do that. I'm recording. It should only be about 5 minutes. Hello and welcome back to another Reddit video. This is What is that? That's not even my intro.